Arsenal 3, Liverpool 1. An absolutely epic clash has ended in the favour of the Gunners, which puts them right back in the title race. Today, we discuss what this means. We review both teams' performances and where do both clubs go from here. Let's get it. Here we go. Welcome back to the Lost in Possession podcast. We've got to talk about this game that has title race implications for not just Arsenal and Liverpool, but of course Man City as well. Now, the game ended 3-1 to Arsenal and kind of followed the theme of this weekend's football. Goals galore and terrible defensive work. Reece, we've got to come to you first. You are back in the title race. You looked, or at least were at risk of being out of it, I think, if you lost today. What does this mean for your club and Arsenal? Well, what does this mean for Arsenal and how are you feeling?
Yeah, it's good. If anything, I think the third goal wins City the title. I think let's be blunt here. They're not going to win it. They put too much hard work into these games and then go throw away games that they shouldn't. So in terms of that, mathematically we're in it. I think if we'd have lost, we'd have been out, completely out of it. But it's closed the gap and eased the pressure on Arteta in particular. It's a big game, but I still think it just opens the pathway for City. Just go and claim it now.
Okay. I mean, there's still 2 points in it, though. You're only 2 points behind. And these are
Yeah,
the
but
games.
we've proven we're not good enough. We drew at Anfield and then lost the next two games when really we should have gone to win those two games. Would have been 5 points better off than a point better off. So, or 6 points better off than a point better off. So, the way I see it is maybe it's being too harsh, but you got to look at it and think, okay, well, this season we've taken 9 points at home against United, City, and Liverpool, and taken a point away at Anfield already. But we still got to go to Old Trafford. We've still got to go to the Etihad. We still got to go away to the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Still got to go away to the London Stadium. I just think our game's too hard. But luckily, being the chaser is better than being the chased.
All right, well, Jamie, we've got to come to you then. I guess let's address the Man City comments. Do you feel like a winner as a result of this 3-1 victory?
Yes and no. So, if you haven't seen, I've done a TikTok of what each of the results meant for all three clubs, in my opinion. I actually was hoping for a draw at most because a draw sort of nullifies Liverpool in not getting 3 points and then means we're mathematically ahead if we win our games in hand. But the draw also meant there was no momentum from Arsenal, and it would sort of like there's nothing going for them going. We're still massively in this because they would have been a point ahead of City, but 2 games behind. So I think a draw would have been the better result, but I was still not wanting a Liverpool win. That was kind of what I wanted today. Reece, I do have to say you need to be a bit more happy that you've just beaten Liverpool at home.
Oh,
It's
it's
a
huge. It's huge. It's a
it's a
huge result
yeah,
for considering. But in terms of our ability, we are still not good enough.
because I think you've got to look at the whole Arsenal performance as well. Because that first half, apart from literally the 10 seconds at the end, you were almost perfect. Okay, it was only 1-0, but you dominated the game, and that's not what. And you got to remember, you're doing it against Liverpool. You're not going to be 3-4-0 up like Villa were against Sheffield United. It doesn't happen against Liverpool. It won't happen against City, and it won't happen for City against Arsenal and Liverpool. It won't happen against these sides. So being 1-0 up and absolutely dominating, dictating the play from literally first to the 47th minute 50 is just like a great sort of performance. Okay, the mistake happened, but it didn't matter in the end. So that's where I think the performance was just really, really good from Arsenal. They they exploited sort of like the issues that Liverpool had today, and I think your main criticism of them, Reece, has been a lot of the big games they've just not been winning. And this season at home, they've beaten City now and they've beaten Liverpool. They're two big results. So I think these do matter in title races. But yes, you've got to stay consistent throughout the season. But I think it's a massive win for Arsenal, and I think it puts them firmly in the race. Where even Arsenal fans, I think, were like, if we lose today, we're done completely out of it.
Yeah, I think everyone agreed with that. To be honest, if Arsenal lost, it was a must. Maybe I'd still say a must win, but it felt like a must not lose because that really would have put them up against it with some of the recent drop points. And again, to Jamie's point, as you said, you go in at half time. This is a title winning side. This is a side who've got 90+ points, were phenomenal in midweek, have all the momentum in the world behind them, and they didn't have a shot on target in the first half. And although obviously the goal went in, didn't count as a shot on target, you've got to give yourself some credit for holding a Liverpool team this good to virtually nothing other than a gift of a goal. And again, I guess we've all been here on the podcast criticised Arsenal's character. You could also flip that and say, look, they dominated the first half, then they conceded the goal. So a lot of teams there would, their heads would go down. And you could have argued then that was, a reason that they could have gone and lost the game. So they've gone in again. It was right before half time, but they've pushed back and they've won a massive game despite giving a goal away. So I think, Reece, to your point, you can almost flip that in Arsenal's favour and say, look, we are seeing a little bit more character. But I do agree with your point. It's all for nothing if next week they're going, I'm not sure on the next fixture exactly, but if you go and drop points in the next game, it's all for nothing. And I think that's the key point you're getting at. So I do agree with both sides.
Thank you so much for watching so far. I will be very quick in this. All we ask is, could you hit that subscribe button for us? It helps us more than you know. We're trying to grow the channel. I personally am setting a target of 500 subscribers by the end of the season. If you could really help us out, that'd be great. Right, back to the video.
Who, in terms of players, obviously we've said positive Arsenal display. Who stood out for you guys in particular?
I think most of the Arsenal team did, to be fair. I think Odegaard looked back to his sort of self. Saka was causing him all sorts of problems. You look at even the first half, Van Dijk really didn't want to go near him because he knew if he did, he was going to foul him. Martinelli was outstanding. I know I can be his biggest critic, but you got to say when he's good, when he's good. He was on it. Havertz did what he had to do up there. Everybody did their job. And I think that's what's important. Everybody did their job. So really can't knock it. Absolutely battered them all over the pitch. And they've got to show that same mentality in their next, well, to be honest, their next four league games, because that's West Ham away, Burnley away, Newcastle at home, Sheffield United away.
Tough
Drop
games.
points there, then it's all for nothing. It's really that simple. They've got to keep going. So hopefully that gives them that spark. And like I said, being the chaser is better than being the chased.
Yeah.
In terms of the players that you said, I think Declan Rice and Odegaard were the biggest two in terms of for the performance. I think Declan Rice absolutely mopped up 95% of stuff that came from Liverpool. I thought he was superb on the left, on the right, down the middle. He was everywhere. And that's what Rice has been doing and almost justifying his price tag that Arsenal paid of, 105 million. So he's performing. And Odegaard's had a lot of criticism, I think, this season and a bit of last of not turning up in big games. And he was at the forefront. Okay, I don't think he got an assist, but he didn't get a goal. It doesn't matter about that. It matters how he performs. And today he was involved a lot of the game. I did think he was a little bit early when he was trying to jeer the crowd up. He did it at like minute 3 or 4 minutes in. I'm like, the crowd was already sort of like, you could hear the crowd, so it wasn't like they were quiet and he was jeering them up. And you're like, a bit too. I think that's a bit too early. Do that second half when you're under the cosh a bit for 5 minutes, then you get him up. But he was great today. Trying to think else. Martinelli and Saka caused problems. I thought Konate and Van Dijk struggled with them too. I think them two caused so many problems. for them. So I think they were the main four. I think the defence did an all right job. I think Rice helped out so much, so that's why I'm not really praising the back four, because the goal they could have easily had a clean sheet today if it weren't for 10 seconds of madness. So it's a very good performance all round. But yeah, I think Rice and Odegaard were the main two that really won this game for Arsenal.
Well, I'll disagree slightly. I think you've done Jorginho a bit dirty. You know, we've said.
No, he was good, to be fair. Yeah, didn't mention him, but yeah, he was very good.
Yeah, I think man of the match, if I'm not mistaken. You know, we've been critical of his move to Arsenal, not really worked out, not really found his place in the team. But today, he dominated that midfield. He helped run Arsenal's attack and defence. Rolling back the years. So you've got to give him some credit as well. Let's talk about Liverpool, because we've said it. We obviously saw it firsthand. The dominant display against us in the week, shot after shot after shot, looking fluid, pretty defensively sound. I'm really surprised. Maybe it's the lack of Darwin Núñez starting, but what happened to Liverpool? Well, what happened to the Liverpool side we saw literally a few days ago? Because this was a shadow of what we've seen earlier in the week.
I think you got to remember Anfield plays a bit of a factor for them. Playing at home, playing away, there's a difference. But you're right that it was a shadow of themselves. It wasn't like a normal Liverpool team. This looked, I wouldn't say tired, because I think that wouldn't be the right word, but it looked like no one was actually on it. No one was going to produce at least an 8 out of 10 performance. Everyone looked a bit subpar. And I messaged you two I think about 10 minutes in, I just went, Van Dijk looked shaky. And that was it. That was the rest of the game. It was like that. That Konate was shaky, Van Dijk was shaky. None of the midfield three really got into the game much. And the front three, I think Diaz did a little bit, but they offered nothing. And it could be because of no Darwin Núñez, although against Chelsea he just seemed to get the ball and press circle to shoot. Didn't matter where it ended up. That was just his game. It's a bit of a baffling one of why the performance was poor, but it wasn't like you can just go, it was down to one player. Like, it wasn't just Van Dijk, it wasn't just Konate, it wasn't just one of these players. It was a flat performance from all of Liverpool players today. Even the subs didn't do anything when they came on. Like, I can't actually remember who came on, but I don't remember them doing anything that you thought they've risen a bit of the level of Liverpool's performance today, because no one did. That'd be slightly concerning. I don't know if it is due to sort of they've just played you midweek. Like I said, they had the ball for most of the game, having shots left, right, and centre. Then has that been draining, having shooting practice all game, to then go to the Emirates? That's
I don't know. If Arsenal didn't have a game, if Arsenal hadn't have also played, I think that's more of a fair excuse.
Oh yeah. It's not like, why is the difference between Liverpool and Arsenal? It was more, I'm just trying to think of a reason why Liverpool weren't as good today. Because, like I said, everyone was off it. Alisson mistake for the second goal. Van Dijk just, I don't think he put a foot right today, to be perfectly honest. And Konate, I said it in our chat. The ball went massively up in the air, and he didn't look like he wanted to head it. So he let the ball bounce and then fouled Havertz, or it was Martinelli, one of the two, in sort of like 2 or 3 seconds. And I'm like, you're 6'5", 6'6". You're a big guy. I want my centre half to be heading that. Don't care where that header goes. I want him to be winning that header, and he would have won that header because Havertz or Martinelli, whoever it was, wasn't even challenging for that. They were waiting for it to bounce to hold it up to get the foul. And Konate just went, yeah, I'm going to let him do that. And I think that was sort of like the way Liverpool performed today. Just no fight for it, really. I think that was the downfall.
I think it's a mixture of things. I think the game against Chelsea was more important to actually win for Liverpool, especially from a home game perspective, which they did. And I think they were so relentless, it probably has tired them a little bit. You know, if we do look at Liverpool's bench today, like, it's very weak. It's very poor. You know, realistically, other than bringing on Nunes, you know, maybe Elliott, I don't really see where there was going to be those game changers. So there is probably an element of tiredness in there. The way Arsenal set up tactically is probably something that Liverpool don't like. You know, if we would have matched Liverpool and gone for their style, would have left ourselves way too open. And also as well, I think, you know, Klopp and making his announcement, they had that buzz to respond, but they've probably started to adjust to life that he's not going to be there after this season. So it does sort of sink in like that. But I just think the Chelsea game is more important for them to win. And I think as well, like I said, it's just one of those days for them. Arsenal knew they had to win. So you know, I don't think Liverpool looked too much into this result. They're still fighting on all fronts, but again, that is another issue as well. When they're fighting on all fronts with that squad, it can be quite paper thin. So yeah, they weren't at it.
Just with the squad, the only players really who are out that would be first choice are Salah and Soboslai. Okay, Matip's on the bench, but you got Konate as the cover. I think Soboslai and Salah are the main two misses.
But that's still a sign of depth, isn't it? Because if Salah doesn't play,
problem, I guess.
Yeah, I look at it and think if Salah doesn't play, you've got Gakpo, you've got Diaz, you've got Jota. Fine. With Salah out, then who does Gakpo replace? Do you know what I mean? Or who comes on for Gakpo? You know, that's where they're starting to look a bit thin, in my opinion. You know, and that's not being disrespectful to their team. It just is a little bit thin, and I think they could probably done with one or two reinforcements a little bit. But they just weren't at the races, were they today? I think it's a very poor Liverpool performance, but it was a very, very good Arsenal performance. Let's be honest here, and I think Liverpool come away a little bit shell shocked, and I think they'll start focusing for their next game.
Well, let's start looking ahead then. In terms of we've discussed the both teams' performances. We've got to now look at the implications this has for the title race. Again, City are on 21, so City do have 2 games in hand. So again, it's a big if, or as always. But if City do win those 2 games, they do go top. So let's be hypothetical for a moment. Let's assume City win those 2 games. They're 1 point clear. You've then got Liverpool on 51, Arsenal on 49, and Villa not going away on 46. You could even throw in Spurs as well. How do we see this result impacting the title race now in the coming weeks? And are we going to see, as a result of this game, any teams dropping out of that sort of title race, if you like?
No disrespect to them, but Villa and Spurs aren't in the title race. I think Villa's sort of when they got beat by Newcastle showed that they're not going to be consistent enough for winning the title. So anything below there, I'm not considering myself. Like, it has to be miraculous results to do that. But there still are sort of 2 massive games in it, and they both involve City. City have got to go away to Anfield. Liverpool are going to be completely up for that. It's going to be the last of, apart from maybe cups or maybe the FA Cup, of Klopp versus Pep. I think it's going to be a huge, huge game. And you've also got Arsenal got to come to the Etihad. And Arsenal have beaten City technically. One was on penalties, one and then the 1-0 at Emirates. So they've beaten City twice. They've got to come to Etihad and win, really, if they want to continue to win the title. So there's still massive games to go. And it's not a given that City will win the 2 games, because we've got to play Brentford for the Monday night football, and Brentford did a double over us last season. So it's definitely not a given that City are just going to go straight to being top. But if they do, I disagree with Reece and say you want the points on board. You don't want to be chasing every week. I get that there's pressure. I think there's pressure either way. It depends on who plays first and who plays second. That's where the pressure mounts up more. Even if because let's say you're 1 point ahead, you win, you're 4 points ahead. that's when there's massive pressure on the team who plays second, and then vice versa if the positions change. So I disagree on you'd rather be the chaser than being chased, but it's not like Reece might say Arsenal aren't going to win it, but I think it's so close. These two big games, City versus Liverpool and Arsenal, could really be the reason for the title being.
Yeah, that Liverpool City one, that's the real big one, I think. At Anfield, you'll probably be on very, very close points. I think that's 9th of March, if I'm not mistaken. So everyone mark your calendars for that, because that could genuinely be, depending on what Arsenal do, as you said, Reece, tough run, that could be the fixture that decides this race. And in terms of, I guess, to finish, I know we've done a few of these where we sort of, I guess, are we changing our minds on who we believe will win the league? So again, start of the season, if I'm not mistaken, I said City, Jamie said City, Reece said Liverpool. Are any of us changing our predictions? I mean, I'll start. I'm not going to change my prediction. It's still a long way to go, and I don't think it's as nailed on as we probably thought it would be pre-season. But at the end of the day, this Liverpool team, although today is a bit of a red flag for them, we've seen, again, as I said in the week, we've seen what they can do at Anfield, and we've seen they're a team who can go on those 12, 13, 14 match winning streaks, and that's what you need to win the title. And Reece, that kind of touches on your point about Arsenal. Have we seen that from Arsenal yet? I'm not sure. So I'm going to stick with my prediction, but I think we're going to be in for a hell of a title race.
Yeah, look, let's be blunt here. Arsenal aren't winning it. Let's not be stupid. I'm still going to stick with Liverpool. However, my concern with them is their last couple. Well, their end of the season is a bit of a tough one for them. They got, United away amongst theirs, Spurs away in the last game. That'll depend on what Spurs are doing and where their ambitions are. Yeah, I'll stick with Liverpool because I think they might go all out here.
Yeah, Liverpool's last 3 games are Spurs at home, Villa away, who if keep this up, they could be fighting for Champions League spots, so they'll need to win that. And then last game's at home to Wolves, and Wolves have been getting points or giving at least good games to the top sides. More at home, but still not rolling over.
Would not worry about Wolves. No need to worry about Wolves.
Whoa.
The tough one.
Go easy, lads. Go easy. You should be worried about Wolves.
Wolves will have nothing to play for on that last game of the season. Do not worry about Wolves. Aston Villa away will be the tricky one.
Spurs at home, Villa away are 2 big games for them at the end of the season. Obviously, I'm not going to change my prediction. I still think we're the best side overall, and we're the most consistent. And I don't think it would change even if we lose to Brentford. But these games against Liverpool and Arsenal are huge for when they come around. But it's no foregone conclusion. I didn't think it would be from the start of the season, but I still will back my side to be doing it. Just I think we've got the consistency over Liverpool and Arsenal, and with all our players back, actually, it's looking nicer and nicer. I'll say that, and we'll probably get some injuries tomorrow, so touch wood and all that.
Right, well, there you have it. None of us are, despite the topsy-turvy Premier League, none of us are changing our predictions for the Premier League winner. The question is, are you? Quickly pause the video if you got this far. Let us know who you're predicting to win the Premier League this season and whether that was who you picked at the start of the season. Let's be honest here. But as always, that wraps us up for another episode. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. You know the drill.